of your own world. Ignorance and attachment is the creator of all the worlds. We'll talk about that later someday. I don't want to be too unconventional. That might upset somebody. So, back to our fire. There's something flammable, let's say wood. Now you have oxygen, and now you take a box of matches and you ignite. Now there's a spark, and what happens is temperature of the wood rises. That's how you light a fire, right? How does the fire in the matchstick go to the wood? When you hold the matchstick to the block of wood, its temperature starts to increase. And using oxygen, now a fire has arisen. Because what if the wood was wet? You have a matchstick. Can you light the fire? No, because you don't have enough heat to turn up the temperature. Because these are the three components of a fire, not a matchbox. Temperature, oxygen, and something flammable. Provided these three things have been brought together, who here can stop a fire from arising? Put your hand up if you can. There's wood, there's enough temperature for a fire to ignite, and there's oxygen. Do you dare to try to stop this fire? I challenge you. Can you? No. Can a Buddha stop the fire? Hang on a second. Surely. Can a Buddha stop a fire if there's oxygen, something flammable, and temperature? Can a Buddha stop a fire? No. Because if that were the case, then this world would not be conditioned to a Buddha. If that were the case, you and I won't be here right now. Why? Because he would have changed the world, and you and I would have all become arahants. You can't change the world. We'll come back to that. So, fire again. These three components come together, a fire has arisen. Now, have you seen fires in blocks of flats? Or when they go ablaze? Who likes a fire in a block of flats? Which of the residents in the block likes the fire? Does anyone like the fire? No. So if you don't like the fire, how do you put a fire out? You start chanting, don't you? No, pray to the gods, right? No? What do you do? If you don't like a fire, how would you put out a fire, Pata? Yes. You spray water. What does spraying water do? Yes. Reduces the temperature. Takes away the temperature. Now, the temperature has reduced, and the temperature is insufficient for a fire to be ablaze. Therefore, what happens to the fire? Extinguish. Now, I have a question for you. Did the fire arise because I wanted it to? Has the fire now been extinguished because I didn't want it to? Or because I wanted to extinguish it? Yes, you might have gone and chucked water at it. But if you hadn't thrown the water at it, just standing by and wishing for it to be extinguished, will the fire go out? No. So what does that say to us about a fire? Is it to our liking, or is it conditioned? It's conditioned. What does it mean then to say that something is conditioned? For as long as there are conditions, then you will get a result. For as long as conditions are in favor, you will be able to witness the result. Take a rainbow as another example. How does one see a rainbow? Who brought the rainbow and put it there? The leprechauns, did they? No. So how do we see a rainbow then? Yes, absolutely. When there are droplets of water in the atmosphere, and you have sunlight that refract on these raindrops. Now you see a rainbow. Can you look at a rainbow and wish for the rainbow to go away? Will it be gone? No. Well, if that were the case, you should be able to wish it for it to appear as well. But when there are causes, a rainbow will be seen. When there are no longer any causes, now there's no rainbow to be seen. So is a rainbow conditioned or unconditioned? Absolutely conditioned. Now, 2 examples. Third example. Your life. Ooh. Now we are talking. Your life. Are you alive because you like to be? There's a really simple way to answer this question. Did your mother and father die because they didn't want to be alive? Did your grandparents die because they didn't want to be alive? If you're alive because you like to be, who here is going to die? Is your child alive because you like it or he or she to be alive? Is your husband alive because you like him to be alive? Is your wife alive because you like her to be alive? I know lots of husbands who don't like their wives to be alive. Is life unconditional or conditional? Conditional. The reason that you're alive right now, ladies and gentlemen, is because you have a heart that's going lub dub lub dub lub dub. The reason you're alive right now is because your lungs are struggling to keep you alive. They're working extremely hard, pulling in oxygen or taking in air and extracting the oxygen from that, taking it all to your cells into the mitochondria, that's producing all the energy to keep you alive. These are the reasons why you're alive. Your heart's beating and supplying blood through all those blood vessels to the rest of your body as well as the heart. How many blood clots does it take in the coronary artery for a man to die? How many? 1. How many blood vessels, how many blood clots does it need in a blood vessel that takes blood to your brain for one to have a coma? 1. Just 1. So what happened when that 1 came along? The causes that are required to keep you alive were taken away. Just 1 cause. Because mitochondria needs oxygen, no more oxygen, now that's it. So are you alive then because you like to be alive? Are you alive because you don't like to be alive? Some people don't like to be alive. Why do you think people commit suicide? Why do you have to jump off a cliff to commit suicide if really life is a result of something you like? I'll give you some examples. You tell me to stop when you have hit jackpot. Wife, child, marriage, love, friendship, mother, father, house, watch, chain, glass, sun, moon, stars, tree, pet dog, cow, cat. Want me to keep going or you found one yet? Is there anything that's not conditioned? Everything is conditioned. Question: what is the danger with conditioned things? They arise when the conditions come together. They will last for as long as there are conditions which support it to last. And when it's time for the conditions to bid farewell, what happens? It's time to say goodbye. Therefore, what's the danger? What happens if you attach yourself to a conditioned entity? When the conditions are there, it's going to rise. Now you go, hey, it's there. Beautiful, gorgeous. I'm going to attach myself. Attach. It will prevail for as long as the conditions prevail. Now it's time for the conditions to bid farewell. How are you going to stop it? When it's time to pass away, how are you going to stop it? Did your mother ask for your permission before she kicked her last bucket? Did your father come and tell you, Puta, I think I've lived in this world long enough. I've worked hard, I've earned you a lot of money, so if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to take my leave. Is that what your father said? What did he say? It's time to go. Can you do anything to stop it? Please? All this money I've earned, all my property, take everything. Doctor, please take everything you need. Please cure me. Please stop me from dying. Why? What was he attached to? A conditioned entity. What? Life. For as long as you attach yourself to a conditioned entity, be that an object, be that a person, be that an event, for as long as you attach yourself to a conditioned object, be prepared to do what? Be prepared to do what? Suffer. Suffer galore. For as long as you attach yourself to a conditioned object, be prepared to suffer. Now what are the conditioned things you're attached to? Well, I gave some examples earlier on, didn't I? What are some of the things you are attached to? Let's go through that list again. Wife, son, daughter, husband, wife, mother, father, pet dog, your chihuahua, cow, what else? Your coat, your glasses, your haircut, your face, your complexion, your wristwatch. Name one thing at home that you're not attached to. And then name one thing at home that's not conditioned. All the ornaments in your showcase, why did they come there? Is it because I liked them and I went and put them there? No, who put them there? You put them there. Why? Because you really didn't like them? No, because you loved them. Name one ornament that's not conditioned. What is the nature of all conditioned things? For as long as there are conditions in its favor, it will arise. For as long as the conditions will prevail, it will prevail. And when it's time to bid farewell, now it's time to say goodbye. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the disease. When it passes away, now you start crying. That's the symptom. You attached. That's the disease. There are two things I said come together to create suffering in this world. One, conditioned world. Two, attachment. So I'll give you a formula for suffering. Attachment, product, conditioned world. Conditioned world, multiply, attachment, equals suffering. So now suffering is 1. To make 1 a 0, how many of these two terms must be a 0? So what's the equation again? Conditioned world times attachment equals suffering. So now suffering is 1. We want to be in no suffering. Suffering 0. How many of these two terms have to be a 0 before suffering is 0? How many? Just 1, right? Which one are you going to change? Which one would you like to change? Okay. Before you answer that, let me ask you this question. Which one have you been trying to change? Oh, I'm so mean, aren't I? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years you've been alive, which one have you been trying to change? You didn't even touch attachment. Let attachment be. Attachment is beautiful. So you try to change a conditioned world. You try to change it to your favor. I don't like a conditioned world. I'm going to make it to my liking. Isn't this the story of your life? Changing the world, trying to change the world to your liking. Isn't that how everyone you took lessons from taught you to be happy? Why did you go to school again? To learn how to change the world to your liking. In which school do they teach you attachment leads to suffering? In which math lesson did you learn attachment leads to suffering? Which science and technology teacher came and taught you attachment leads to suffering? Which doctor did you go to said attachment leads you to suffering? Although I do know a doctor now who in her clinics tries to teach her patients. Previously she used to advise them to try and change the world. She came and shared her story with me and she said, now, thanks to the Dhamma, I realize I've been trying to alter the wrong factor. It's not X that needs to change, because you can't change X. Change Y. X is a conditioned world. Y is attachment. Z is the answer. Suffering. Think, ladies and gentlemen, which one have you been trying to change all your life? Name one thing you tried to do to stop attachment. Until you listen to the Dhamma. Give me one thing you did. True Dhamma that takes you to Nibbana is the Dhamma I'm talking about. Not Dhamma that says, because there's nothing wrong with the Dhamma. It's how you take the Dhamma, how you grasp the Dhamma. You go and do a meritorious deed. At the end of that you hope, let me be born in the heavens. May I be as beautiful as this flower is in my next birth. You can't tell me you haven't done these things. If so, you and I have been living in entirely different planets. What is the heavens? Conditioned or unconditioned? Which heaven is unconditioned? Is it Chatur Maharajika, Tusita, Yame, Nimmana Ratiya, or Paranimita Vasavartiya? Which one? Which one is unconditioned? Okay, well, maybe the Brahma worlds then. Which Brahma world is unconditioned? The Rupavachara Brahma worlds or the Arupavachara Brahma worlds? Is there any world that is unconditioned? For as long as there are conditions, they will arise. For as long as conditions will prevail, the result will prevail. When the conditions are ready to go, now it's time to say goodbye. If at that time you have attached yourself to it, that is the disease. Attachment is the disease. 4 noble truths the Buddha spoke of. The first noble cause, or the first noble truth of suffering. He said, there's a world that's conditioned. You're attached to it. Therefore you're suffering. First noble truth of suffering. Then he went on to say, what is the cause for suffering? All along you and I thought, conditioned world is the cause for suffering. The Buddha says, no. You got it wrong. Conditioned world is not the cause for suffering. Attachment is the cause for suffering. Just think, ladies and gentlemen, all your lives, didn't everyone that you came across teach you to attach yourself to something? Didn't they give you value about something? Increase the value in your mind? Didn't they always praise something? I'm not talking about good qualities. Didn't they always try to teach you to attach yourself to something? From the moment you came into this world, your parents. Puta, work hard, earn a lot of money, buy a big house, marry a good wife, be happy. What did they teach you? Attach. Yes or no? Buy a good car. What did they teach you? Attach. What about your friends? What did your friends teach you? Attach, 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 attach. Yes or no? There's a great investment. You should get involved. What did they say? Oh, there's a conditioned world out there. Stock market. What should you do? Attach. There's gold. Attach. I did that. I attached. What was I left with? Piles and piles and piles, heaps and heaps and heaps, and truckloads of suffering. Truckloads of suffering. Because everything I attached to was a conditioned entity. If you want to be happy, given that you tell me your purpose in life is to be happy, ladies and gentlemen, if all your life what you've been doing up until this point is trying to change a conditioned world to your liking, remember the fire did not arise because you wanted it to arise. Remember you are not alive because you want to be alive. Remember that your parents aren't alive because you want them to be alive. But are you not still attached to them? Are you not attached to your children? Aren't your children conditioned? When it's time for your child to go, snake bites, child gets into an accident, heart attack, brain tumor, lung cancer, taken to hospital. Doctor says, 2 weeks. Now you'll spend every dollar, every penny, every rupee that you have to treat your child. To do what? Treat the disease or treat the symptom? Symptom. Again you fall for it. You're not crying because you're sorry for your child, remember. You're crying for yourself. Why do you only treat your child? What about the child next door? What about the children all over this world who are dying of cancer? I'll give you a choice. You'll be given $1 million rupees, $1 million, whatever. Your child's got a cancer. Kandasami's son in Jaffna, he's got a cancer too. Which one of these two children would you choose to treat? Should I even bother asking? Why is it not even a choice? Why do you not even have to think twice? One you're attached to, other you couldn't care less. So, you keep your attachment and you try to treat the symptoms. Parents, did you bring your children into this world because you love your children? Or because you love yourself? Did you not know, from the day you came into this world, you had to go through education? All the tuition classes you had to run to? All the times you got beaten up, scolded at, yelled at? Did you really enjoy doing your homework? Again, if that's the case, you and I have lived in entirely different planets. Did you like sitting down and writing exams? Did you like doing your scholarships? Did you like doing your O-levels and A-levels? Did you like work? Do you still like working hard for a living? If I were to give you 3 square meals, all the food and lodgings you need, would you not consider even staying at home? How many times have you been wounded? How many times have you had splitting headaches, backaches, stomach aches, cramps, toothaches? You wanted to go to the toilet but couldn't. You didn't want to go to the toilet but it's going. How many times? Did you not realize that the child you are bringing into this world is going to go through exactly the same things? Mother, father, husband, wife start living together. After a while they get bored of each other. That's the truth. How do I know? I told you my story, didn't I? And then Let's spice things up. Let's bring along a child. A bundle of fun. Oh, yes. So why did the child come into this world then? From the moment that child came into this world, all it did was cry. All it had to do was fight for its existence, fight for survival. You know how cruel the world is. If the world's so cruel now, you know how it's going to be like in 50 years' time. You brought a child into this world that's going to live for the next 50 years. You're not going to be around then. You know that no one gives you a free meal. But you brought your child into this world, didn't you? Which child goes to school because they really love to go to school? Did you bring a child into this world because you love the child? Or you love yourself? Did you not ask yourself, after us, who's going to look after all these things we've earned for ourselves? All our property, all our money? Someone's got to be the heir to all of this. You can't just pass it on to the next door neighbor. Can you? No. It has to be your child. So, let's bring someone along who can piggyback all this stuff that I've been piggybacking all along. Think. I'm giving you things to think about. By the way, I'm not saying children now go start hating your parents. It is thanks to them that you come into this world and now you have a great blessing that is this human life. If you weren't born a human, how would you be listening to this sermon? If you were a preta, if you were a spirit or a demon, or a being in the four great hells, how would you listen to this sermon? You wouldn't have a chance. Thanks to your parents, you were able to come into this world. But parents, you didn't bring them into this world because you loved them. So I'm thinking it from both perspectives. So you can't say I'm unfair. I asked my mother, why did you bring me into this world? She said, because I love you. I said, you didn't even know who I was. How did you love me? When you decided to bring me into this world, you didn't even know whether I was black or white, male or female, whether I was going to be disabled, handicapped. How many parents dish their children, throw their children into the toilet because they have come into this world and now they're handicapped? Why do they do that? Is it because they love their child? There's only one person you love in this world. Who's that? In your pursuit of happiness, you are prepared to do anything, including bringing a poor, helpless being into this world to fight for its survival. You will even do that. Are you feeling proud about yourself right now? Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. From the child's perspective, entirely different story, I must admit. From the child's perspective, it is because the parents decided to be, or even by mistake. This is why Guru Swami Maharaj says, even if you're a fatherless child, as in, you don't know your father, still, that man who might have raped your mother, and as a result of which she became pregnant, and therefore you came into this world, that is still your father. That man might be a drunkard, might be a waste of time, waste of space, but still, that's your father. That's from the child's perspective.